So first of all, my name is Satsan, and I'm from the Wet'suwet'en Nation in northern British Columbia. I'm from the Gilstecu, which is the Flying Frog clan, and I'm one of the chiefs of the Gaia, which is the Birch Bark House. And I've been working in this area of governance for, well, practically my whole life. I got home from residential school in 1974, 75, and got involved with our hereditary chiefs and elders who were trying to find a way to deal with the issue of our territories and our rights with respect to the territories, and also our governance systems. And what they were looking for was, number one, to rebuild who we are as a people. Secondly, they wanted to be able to go back onto our territories so that we can fulfill our obligations and responsibilities that are inherent to us and we're born with it. And also to be able to use our lands once again to look after our people. The other thing they were looking for was to put back in place our own jurisdiction, not only over our people, but also over our lands. In other words, to put back in place our own laws. And along with that, what our people were looking for was to put back in place our own governance under our own systems, to be able to look after our people and our lands again, and most importantly to have a new relationship with Canada, which is what we were fighting for. They were also looking in terms of resources to bring back our people together, to work together, to rebuild our nations and who we are as a people. Because under the Indian Act, that had been pretty much broken and splintered and separated. And we also wanted to be able to take advantage of the resources of our lands to, look after our people, provide essential services and create wealth to trade with other nations. This struggle had been going on since the reserves were first established on our territories, and our people were moved off of our lands onto little Indian reserves under the Indian Act. And so it's been a struggle not only amongst the Wet'suwet'en, but Indigenous people all across this country since the time of Confederation. So this struggle has been going on for over 150 years now. We changed the law in this country. We created new law in this country. We changed the Constitution, added Section 35, and we defined it. And the conundrum that we find ourselves in now is, we've established the recognition of our inherent right to self-government under Section 35 of the Constitution Act in 1982. But the reality in the status quo is that we're stuck under Section 9124, the Indian Act, on reserves subject to federal legislation. And our whole fight was to gain this recognition, to change that, to move out of the Indian Act back into our own inherent rights governance. And I am a product of that. And I grew up in the midst of total social chaos. There's something wrong here, man. This does not make any sense. There's something that's clearly causing this total social breakdown, this chaos. And it made me angry, and I decided at a very young age that I'm going to do something about this. I'm not going to accept this. I'm not going to let it do what it's done to my parents and my uncles and my aunties and everybody else in our community. So we have now the opportunity to rebuild who we are as a people. our language, our histories, our spirituality, and everything associated with that. We've regained our jurisdiction as far as our territories are concerned. And there are legal and constitutional procedures in place to drive negotiations towards reconciliation and a new nation-to-nation-to-nation relationship in Canada. And we've regained the right to put back in place our own governance systems, to in effect put back in place our inherent right to self-government. And so the difference there is under the Indian Act, this so-called special relationship is one of wards, as people with no legal status and capacity. Whereas under our inherent right to self-government, the relationship is based on a legal relationship. It's between federal and provincial laws and our laws. It's a nation-to-nation-to-nation relationship. And there's no disputing the fact that as Indigenous people, we governed ourselves, our people, and we governed our lands under our own laws and under our own jurisdiction for thousands and thousands of years. We need to educate our people about the fact of that, how it came to be, why it came to be like that, and the devastating impact that it had amongst our people, our communities, and our nations. It's been destructive, and it's created a whole culture of conflict and mistrust and everything else that goes along with it. We need to teach our people that, to create a consensus decision for change. Our people are the rights holders. So that's where we need to start. We need to get back to that. And going after band-aid solutions like, election codes and land codes and so on. And people thinking that that's something, that's, we're making changes, this is the path to self-government. And we teach them about the fact that, yes, you can do these things, but at the end of the day, you're still under the Indian Act. And so there's a lot of concerns that our people have in our communities, day-to-day things. They're so busy trying to live with less. And one of the things that we have to do in terms of creating and this transition from the Indian Act to our own inherent rights governance is we need to get a handle of the Indian Act and we need to master it. And the way we do that is to ensure that we can clarify just exactly what the roles and responsibilities of chief and council are under the Indian Act, to reorganize and restructure the administration so that we're so good at it that now we're only putting 20 to 30% of our time and resources into it, and breaking out that 60 to 70% of time and resources to turn and engage our own people. And that's a part of the Rebuilding First Nations Governance project, the research project, to support that so that we work with the community to determine what those are, we help them reorganize, we help them restructure so that they can turn to their people and start working on the inherent right path. And as a part of that process, what we're doing is to separate out those policies that are specific to the Indian Act and those things that belong within the realm of our inherent right to self-government, and to use that as a transitional path out of the Indian Act. And again, that's where the Rebuilding First Nations Governance Project is. That's what it's all about, is to support those communities when they make that decision and when they start to make that move. For example, if someone wants to move on fisheries, and that's a big, big issue in our community, by putting in place their own fisheries law according to their own jurisdiction. If they want to move on essential services, which is something that we need to get more busy on, and put back in place our own laws to look after our own people. It doesn't matter where people want to start. It's their decision, and that's where we begin with them. One thing that we've learned in this work is that when we go into our communities, that the people, for the most part, don't know the Indian Act. They've never read it, although they've been subject to it for over 150 years. And they know the devastation that it's caused, but yet they live within it in this warped sense of comfort, living a sustenance lifestyle, and have no idea that this was willfully done to them by the Indian Act. But the idea is connecting all these nations across the country who are involved in this project to create an action network so that they're supporting one another and working with each other and helping each other. And everybody gets the benefit of each other's research. And so you help each other's implement different areas. And at the end of the 6-year research project, we're hoping, our dream is that when we document and put that collective experience together, coupled with the applied research that everybody has done, we should have effectively created a transitional governance model that not only they can use, but other First Nations can use in the future, because it's inevitable.